All right, we're back on the record for the Orange County cases. Do we have Mr. Burnham present?
Yes,
Go ahead and state your name, please.
John Michael Burnham.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here is for counsel for Mr. Burnham?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Boudin.
Do you want to waive reading the charges, or?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, what is counsel for Mr. Burnham requesting?
Mr. Burnham is entitled to a bond. This isn't punishable by life. This is a third-degree felony. There's no legal basis absent the state filing a motion for pretrial detention for Mr. Burnham to be denied bond. He has no criminal history whatsoever. I'd ask the court set bond at $5,000.
What says the state?
Your Honor, state will request a high bond based on the nature of the charges. State requests no contact with the victim, no return to the residence, and to maintain separate residences.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause. I'm going to set bond at $5,000, no contact with the victim, no return to the scene, maintain separate residence, and I'm also going to order no contact with any member of the victim's family, because they're all potential witnesses.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
So, State, if you can just let Madam Clerk know those names so she can put them in the order. I want to make sure that there's no contact with any member.
Yes, Your Honor. First is she ready?
Normally, I put them in the order just so that it's very clear. This is not the victim, this is the victim's family. These are the witnesses. Because normally the victim is just victim because it's confidential, but then this is somebody else besides the victim.
Paula Sibbett.
P-A-U-L-A?
Paula, last name Sibbitt.
Or is it B as in Bravo?
Sib Bravo. I know there's one more, Your Honor. Sorry, I'm looking for the name. Which is the victim's sister, younger sister.
If you want to just look for it and then write it down and give it to Madam Clerk, she'll put it on the order. And that
Yes,
will have the correct spellings.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Burnham, you know who I'm talking about, the entire member of the family.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about? And no contact means no contact. No
I
phone
understand
calls, no phone calls, no text messages, no social media, no letters, no contact, no indirect contact, nothing whatsoever. Okay?
Only question I had was, do I get to go to my house or no?
No return to the residence.
Even though, no clothes on nothing.
No, no return to the residence.
Your Honor, we would ask for a one-time exception with law enforcement.
What I'll let him do is bring that up with the judge who's assigned to the case, because I don't want there to be any issues.
Okay.
You'll have an attorney assigned.
Please?
Yeah, so I'm gonna mix them up.
Okay, start right here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and call Mr. William Bastian. Go ahead and state your name for the record,
Refuse,
please.
Your Honor.
You refused?
Bastian refused.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll recall this for tomorrow.
So you're gonna reset?
Yeah, we're gonna reset Bastian for tomorrow. Is this Mr. Ferguson?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead and state your name for the record.
Caspian Ferguson.
Thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Ferguson?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Boudin.
All right, we're here today for a battery. What says counsel for Mr. Ferguson?
Your Honor, I would ask that Mr. Ferguson be released on non-monetary release. He's objectively indigent. If any bond is set, it'll be tantamount to no bond at all on a misdemeanor battery. Court can impose whatever conditions it believes is appropriate. No return. He forced him to check in with his attorney once a week. But any bond in this case is going to be tantamount to no bond at all. So I would ask that the court release him on non-monetary conditions with whatever stringent conditions the court wants to impose.
What says the state?
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the case packet. This is Mr. Ferguson?
Yes, Caspian Ferguson. This is a battery.
Is it domestic?
This was from yesterday, which is why it might not be.
Yeah, this is a behavior from yesterday.
Oh, let me see, maybe it's in the back. Yes. Your Honor, state would request a bond in this case based on officer observing injuries, no contact with the victim, maintain separate residences. I believe he did not know the victim, if I recall this one, but no contact with the victim and maintain separate residences, yes.
Okay, Mr. Ferguson, did you live with the victim?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna find probable cause, issue a bond at $500, no contact with the victim. Any other issues on this case?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
So, like, what's this one for? The battery. This for today?
Yeah.
I gotta wait for another court date?
Yes.
So I won't be in here.
Let's go.
I don't know, I'm sorry.
Do you have Chester Scott? Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
No?
Go ahead and state your name.
Chester Dwayne Scott?
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Scott?
Joshua Sinclair?
Who's here for the state?
Video Budan?
All right, this was a refusal from yesterday, so that's where the paperwork might be if you're looking for it, state. All right, this is a failure to appear on a trespass. What says counsel for Mr. Scott?
Your Honor, I'd ask that the court ROR Mr. Scott, it's a misdemeanor trespass charge. I know he failed to appear, but given the nature of the charge, that's for ROR.
What says the state?
Your Honor, state would request bond to remain as set by the warrant, no return to the scene if he is out.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $100, no return to the scene.
You can, yeah. I don't know about your other case. I just know that.
All right, do we have Kishara Singleton?
Yes.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Kishara Singleton?
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Singleton?
Joshua Sinclair?
Who's here for the state?
Video Budan?
All right, we're here today on attempted first-degree murder with a firearm and aggravated assault with a firearm. What says counsel for defense?
Your Honor, I'm going to ask the court to set bond. This is a punishable by life felony with what she's arrested for, but unless there's proof evident presumption, great, the court must set bond, and we're not even close to that. For starters, attempted murder in and of itself, there's really no evidence that she was intending to kill this person. She was shooting into the vehicle, so shooting into an occupied vehicle. I'd also point out that there is a colorable self-defense claim. The victim in this case is caught on video breaking into Ms. Singleton's back of the car. Then that victim lied to police about it. So in addition to the fact that even if we assume everything the victim said is true, that's not enough for first-degree murder, certainly not proof evident presumption, great. And then there's also a self-defense claim to be put into context. So the defense's position is she is entitled to bond. I'd ask the court to set bond at $10,000 on count one and $1,000 on count two.
We have someone here in regards to this case. Ma'am, can you state your name for the record?
Lillian Williams.
Okay, let's go ahead and get her sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, and you're the alleged victim in this case, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything you'd like to tell the court?
Okay, in a case that she's saying that it was self-defense, it was not. She comes to my house almost every day. She told me that she was going to kill me and my child and put a bullet between my head, all in text messages. She's doing this because she now has a relationship with my child's father. I have an injunction against him, and he told her to shoot at me, and that's when she started shooting.
Is there anything defense would like to state in regards to what the victim has stated? Any questions?
Yes, ma'am, you broke Ms. Singleton's the back of her vehicle.
No, I did not.
All right, you're under oath, ma'am. You understand that?
I am aware of that.
Okay, so you disagree with the police officer when they said you were on video breaking the back of the car?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any questions from the state?
No questions from the state. However, Your Honor, in the report, the defendant admitted to shooting at the victim and admitted that the reason she stopped was because the gun locked. So state would request a higher bond, no contact with the victim if she is out, and to maintain separate residences.
All right, the court's gonna find probable cause. I'm gonna set bond at count 1 in the amount of $500,000, and count 2 is gonna be $10,000. No contact with the victim, maintain separate residence.
Oh, it's going to be expensive, though.
Any other issues in regards to this case?
No, Your Honor.
Next up, we have Fabiola Alejandra Martin Escalerda.
That's a Spanish interpreter, Your Honor.
That's a Spanish interpreter?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll recall that one then. All right, do we have Rafael, all those?
What is the last name, Your Honor?
Hold on, these are the Spanish interpreter cases. And then that's the Creole interpreter case. Okay. All right, so now we would have Joshua Alvarez. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Joshua Alvarez.
All right, you do not qualify for appointment of the public defender, but would the public defender be here as a friend of the court today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Boudin.
All right, we're here today on a tampering with a witness and a battery for dating violence. What says counsel for Mr. Alvarez?
Your Honor, I do see the victims here. Could I hear what she says first?
All right, let's go ahead and get the victim sworn in, please.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead and state your name first, ma'am.
Ariel Campillo.
Okay, and what would you like to tell the court?
I would like to drop the charges, all charges. It was just a misunderstanding.
If you can talk just a little bit louder, it's kind of hard to hear you. First, what is your name again?
Ariel Campillo starts with an H.
Okay, is it, and how do you spell that?
H-E-R-I-E-L.
Okay, that's who I have then. I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear. Okay, what would you like to tell the court?
I would like to drop all charges, all of them.
What says counsel for Mr. Alvarez?
Ma'am, do you want Mr. Alvarez, do you want to have contact with him?
Yes.
Do you want to continue living with him?
Yes.
Do you want him to be out of jail?
Yes.
If a bond is set, are you the one that's going to end up posting it?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions. I would argue based on that the court, he does qualify for PTR. I would ask he be released on PTR. If the court sets a bond, it's just going to really be punishing the victim who is going to end up posting it. Additionally, I would ask that they be allowed to maintain, live together with no hostile contact.
What says the state? Do you have any questions for the witness?
No questions, Your Honor.
Argument?
Yes, Your Honor. State has no position on the bond. However, state would like to inform the court that he does have a history of BAT DV, so state would request no contact with the victim and to maintain separate residences.
Ma'am, have you had an opportunity to speak with Help Now or a domestic violence advocate?
Yes, I'm good. Just drop all the charges, I'm good.
And when did you speak with the domestic violence advocate?
Well, I didn't speak to anybody, but if I need to, I can, but everything's good.
All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find probable cause. I'm gonna set the bond at $500 for count 1, $1,000 for count 2, no contact with the victim, maintain a separate residence. Go ahead and speak with a victim advocate. What will happen is Mr. Alvarez can always file a motion in front of the judge who's handling this case and move forward from there, okay? You can speak to a domestic violence advocate about a safety plan, something of that nature.
Okay, but I want to drop the charges.
It's not the victim who presses the charges, it's the state of Florida who presses the charges. And the state of Florida has indicated that they're moving forward.
Okay, but I still want to have contact with him and everything. He doesn't have to live in the house. He can go to his parents' house, but...
Right now, I'm ordering no contact, but what will happen is he can always file a motion with the judge this is set in front of, And my guess is that judge is going to ask you if you've had contact with a domestic violence advocate and created a safety plan. And so you might want to do that.
You still can't talk to her.
Are there any
Is
other
there
issues
way
in
that
regards
he
to
could
Mr.
be
Alvarez?
released?
No, Your Honor.
This is crazy.
Any other issues on this case?
Is there any way that he could be released? Like, this is not what I wanted. This was a big misunderstanding, like,
There's a bond set for $1,000.
for $1,000?
Yes.
And do I have to pay that right now? How does that work? This is my first time even going through this, so I need some information, or like he needs to come out, like,
You can go ahead, if you choose to post the bond, that's completely up to you.
okay,
Your Honor, I'm sorry, could we just get a one-time exception so he can go?
please,
and,
please, I'm
Yes,
like begging him,
I'll allow
please.
him to go to the home one time to get his personal belongings with law enforcement.
With law, you have to go to the police officer. You gotta go to the police.
Yep, $500 for count one, $1,000 for count two. No contact with the victim, maintain a separate
Please.
residence, and he can go to the residence one time.
Whatever,
To get his belongings. All right, are there any other issues in regards to this case?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the state has decided to move forward with the charges on this case, so you might want to talk to the state as well, okay?
okay.
The
Is
state
there any way
attorney's
that I can
office-
talk to the state right now?
No, right now, we're in open court. But you can go ahead and contact the state attorney's office and find out who the state attorney who's assigned to the case is, and talk to that state attorney.
Okay, how do I do that? Are they gonna give me information about it, or how do I do
You
this?
can always Google the state attorney's office, and there's a main number, and you can call that main number, and then ask them who is assigned to the case,
Okay,
and contact that state attorney. But once again, it's up to the state attorney's office to decide to press charges or not an individual person. It's the state
Okay.
of Florida versus defendant, not victim versus defendant.
okay, so once I put the 1,000 bond on, he can come out?
He'll be released with the bond, but he'll still be under the no contact order, maintain a separate residence order, and he can come back one time to get his personal belongings.
Okay, so can we take away the no contact, because he doesn't have many family, he doesn't have anybody.
No, we can't do that. What will happen is he can file a motion in front of the judge who this case is set in front of.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and call the next case. Is this Carlos Davis? All right, go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Carlos Davis.
Okay. I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of the defense?
Joshua Sinclair?
Who's here for the state?
Lydia Boudin.
Do we have a victim on this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's go ahead and get her sworn in.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
One moment, please. Has the victim been sworn in? Yes, I did. All right, go ahead and state your name for the record, please, ma'am.
Tiana Ross.
You said it a little bit louder. There's a lot of noise going on back there, so I can't hear you at all.
Tiana Ross.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything you'd like to tell the court?
It's just been a misunderstanding, the whole situation, that's it.
And you're the alleged victim in this case, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what do you want to have happen?
I don't want anything. We're already working on it. I've been talking to his mom. We're going our separate ways. I don't have a problem with him.
All right, we're here today for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and a battery with domestic violence. What's his counsel for Mr. Davis?
Yes, Your Honor. Ma'am, do you want to have contact with Mr. Davis?
I don't mind.
I'm sorry?
That's fine.
Okay. It sounds like you said you're going your separate ways, so you're not going to be
Yeah.
living with him anymore?
No, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask that the court set bond at $1,000 on count one, $100 on count two, no hostile contact, and maintain separate residences.
What says the state?
Your Honor, state has no position on bond. However, state would like to inform the court that there is a history of battery involving the same victim. State will request no contact and maintain separate residences.
The court's going to find probable cause. Count one's going to be $5,000. Count two is going to be $1,000. No contact with the victim. Maintain separate residence. Any other issues on this case?
No, Your Honor, we would ask for a one-time exception with law enforcement so he could.
Yes, one-time exception with law enforcement to go get your belongings. Yes.
Rafael Lavoy.
Lavoy?
Yeah, but he says, we got him in the Spanish interpreter,
All right.
and the victim needs Spanish interpreter too.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this case, then we'll switch over to that case. All right, James Gonzalez, go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
My name is James Gonzalez.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Gonzalez?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
And do we have someone here today?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get her sworn in.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, ma'am.
LaWanda Love Dixon.
And what would you like to tell the court?
I don't want him coming to my residence anymore. I'm filing an injunction against him tomorrow at the courthouse because I don't want nothing to do with him. He showed up to my mom's house, busted out my windows. He threw me on the floor. He hit me. I'm bruised up. I had to defend myself, you know. I don't know.
Are you in fear for your safety?
Yes.
What says counsel for Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Gonzalez is still entitled to a bond based on these charges. I would ask for $5,000 on count one and $150 on the remaining counts, no contact and no return, with a one-time exception so he could get his property.
What says the state?
Your Honor, based on the victim's testimony, state would request a higher bond, no contact and no return, maintain separate residences.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause. Bond for count one is $5,000. Bond for count two is $5,000. Bond for count three is $1,000. Bond for count four is $500. No contact with the victim, no return to the scene. No contact means no contact, no indirect contact, no social media, no emails, no messages via third parties, nothing. Okay?
And he has no property. We don't live together. So I have nothing of his.
I didn't allow him to return to the scene. I just said no contact and maintain a separate residence. He can't
Okay.
go to your
Because
property. one time.
his mom is calling me too, threatening me. So
I have no jurisdiction over the mother because right now the defendant is James Gonzalez. If you have any issues in regards to your safety or you fear, you can always contact law enforcement. Okay, because right now we're here for James Gonzalez.
okay.
Any other issues from anybody?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'll be back.
All right, let's go ahead and, I think it was LaBoy.
Your attorney. You'll be assigned one.
We're going to do is we're going to do Mr. LaBoy and then go through the rest of the Spanish docket. Take out LaBoy first.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor. For the record, Jose Sendra, certified Spanish interpreter, previously sworn.
Thank you. Can Mr. LaBoy state his name for the record?
Señor, ¿podría decir su nombre completo para que conste en actas?
Sí, mi nombre es Rafael José Velazquez Labor.
Rafael José Velázquez Lavoy.
And who do we have as counsel for Mr. Velazquez Labor?
Licenciada?
Your Honor, for the record, I represent Mr. Velazquez Labor. I am attorney Merrill Glover Gambles.
Se ha presentado su abogada.
And who's here on behalf of the state?
Vidya Budan for the state, Your Honor.
Fiscalía se ha presentado.
And I see a victim present. Let's go ahead and get her sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please.
The interpreter. Will the victim need the interpreter,
Yes.
Your Honor? Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Señora, usted jure decir la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad, lo jura ante Dios.
Sí.
Yes.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please, ma'am.
I am Delores Velazquez.
Do you need an interpreter?
No.
Okay, I was told that you needed an interpreter, so,
No.
okay. Mr. Interpreter, we only need the interpreter for the defendant.
Understood, Your Honor.
Thank you. Go ahead and state your name, please.
I am Delores Velazquez.
Yo soy Dolores Velázquez.
And what would you like to tell the court?
I did not in any time want no charges on my brother from my father. If he got any charges that cops told me, because I told my cops that I did not want to press no charges for my father, is everything will drop down. Please drop it down.
Su señoría, solo quería decir al tribunal que yo no quiero que ninguna cargo acusatoria contra mi padre. Se lo comenté a la policía. No quiero que él tenga cargos ni que se le considere en algún momento acusado.
Any questions from counsel for Mr. Velazquez Laboy?
¿Alguna pregunta, licenciada?
Ma'am,
No, I got no questions.
Wait, I'm asking if his attorney has
I'm
any
going to
questions.
ask. Do you want to have contact with your father?
Of course I do.
Okay, and with no hostile contact, are you afraid of him?
No, I'm not afraid of my father.
Okay, and I understand that this incident happened at his home?
Yes, it basically started in McDonald's, but the cops arrived to my home because the person grabbed the license plates
Okay,
on
so
my dad's car.
You have your own separate residence?
Yes, I do.
And it should be no problem for you to stay there if the judge orders separate residences?
I got no problem. I'm not scared of my father. He's not a bad person. I could live with him any minute. I don't know what's the reason why they want us separate when he's not a dangerous person. He's a person with families, that he cares for his
Let the
family.
interpreter
That's
a chance
it.
to interpret. Hold on, ma'am.
Yo quisiera decir que en ningún momento temo a mi padre. Este incidente ocurrió en mi casa, pero la policía se presentó en mi casa porque alguien tomó la tablilla, la matrícula del vehículo. Yo en ningún momento le temo, yo podría vivir con él. Él no es una mala persona, por lo tanto, no veo necesario todas estas acusaciones en su contra.
Is there anything else you would like to say in answer to Ms. Glover Gambles' question?
No, I got no other question. I just want to free him out. He's my dad. I need him with me.
No hay ninguna cosa más que quisiera decir, solo quiero que pongan en libertad a mi padre, yo lo necesito en mi vida.
Does the state have any questions?
No questions, Your Honor. State has no position on bond. State will request no hostile contact and to maintain separate residences.
La fiscalía no adopta ninguna postura en cuanto a la fianza ni tiene ninguna pregunta para la víctima, solo pide que no haya ningún tipo de interactuación hostil y que mantengan residencias separadas.
And, Your Honor,
Yes?
I'd like to be heard on the issue of bond for him.
Go ahead.
Please state your full name for the record.
My full name,
Señor, ¿puede decir su nombre completo para que conste en actas?
Let's get him sworn in. Who's going to testify?
yeah, my full name is Rafael José Velázquez Lavoy.
Momento, señor. ¿Por qué?
I think she wants.
Your Honor, would it be easier if the defendant puts the headset on?
Yes. Let's try that.
We have communication.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and get Mr. Velazquez Laboy sworn in.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole, nothing but the truth?
I do before God.
Go ahead, Attorney Glover Gambles.
You live at what residence, Mr. Velazquez? What's your address?
9920 Ford Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32824.
And you live there with your wife?
Es correcto.
Okay.
That is correct.
You have employment here in Orange County, Florida? You are employed here in Orange County, Florida?
Sí.
Yes.
And I understand that you've lived in the continental United States for more than 10 years now?
Correcto.
You've lived in Orange County?
That is correct.
I'm sorry. You've lived in Orange County for almost 15 years. Is that correct?
Correcto.
And
Correct.
you recently bought your home there?
Correcto.
That is correct.
You have sisters and other family members, a large number of family members here in Orange County, Florida?
Correcto. Mi papá, mi
That is so.
And how long have you been employed on your job?
alrededor de 8 años. 8 años.
8 years.
And are you the person that provides financial support for your household?
Correcto.
That is correct.
Your Honor, I'd offer that he has strong ties with this community. He lives here with his wife, his children, his sisters, a host of nephews and nieces. I asked the court to give him a bond in the amount of $500 for hostile contact with his wife.
Any questions for the state?
No, Your Honor.
Court's going to find probable cause, set a bond at $500, no hostile contact with the victim, and maintain a separate residence. Are there any other issues on this case?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and call the next Spanish interpreter case.
Now, Your Honor, may the interpreter get the case number for Mr. Velazquez?
It's 2021 MM 4410AO.
Next up,
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Fabiola Martinez Aldera. Thank you.
Good morning.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. Ma'am?
Your Honor, this is the interpreter. May I request that the defendant puts on the headset?
Okay. You have to sanitize the headset and then go ahead and give it to the defendant. Yes. And the victim needs a Spanish interpreter as well. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Fabiola Martinez.
Fabiola Martinez.
I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you, who's here as counsel for the defendant.
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
And do we have a victim here in this case?
I need somebody to speak Spanish, please. For understand perfect.
Can the interpreter hear the victim?
Barely.
Can you speak up a little bit louder so the interpreter can hear you? Speaking to the microphone. The microphone.
All right. I need somebody to speak Spanish, please, for understand exactly perfect.
Okay. Go ahead and
Muy bien.
state your name for the record, please.
Señor, diga su nombre para que conste en actas, despacio y alto y claro.
Mi nombre es Ángel Luis Cruz Elena.
My name is Ángel Luis Luz Elena.
And we're going to go ahead and get him sworn in.
Raise your right hand.
Para prestar juramento, levanta la mano derecha, señor.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
¿Usted jura decir la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad? ¿Lo jura ante Dios?
Sí, señor.
Yes, ma'am.
What would you like to tell the court?
¿Qué quiere decirle usted a este tribunal, señor? Adelante.
Nada, que hubo un pequeño percance ayer y que no ha pasado nada. O sea, que no ha pasado nada. O sea, que quiero que todo esto se acabe. Que quiero a mi esposa en mi casa. Y quiero que mi esposa vuelva para atrás.
There was just a minor incident that occurred yesterday. Nothing really happened. I would like my wife to come back home as soon as possible, want this incident over. It was just a misunderstanding.
We're here today for a battery domestic violence. Does counsel for Ms. Martinez Aldera have any questions of the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Sir, are you afraid of Ms. Martinez Aldera?
Señor, ¿usted teme a la señorita Martínez?
No, señor, en ningún momento.
No, sir, not at all at any moment.
Do you want to continue living with her?
¿Usted desea seguir viviendo con ella?
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
And you want to be able to continue to have contact with her?
¿Y usted desea seguir teniendo un contacto regular con ella?
Sí, señor.
I have no
Es la
further,
Yes,
madre
sir.
de mis hijos.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
What says the state?
Sir, if you needed to get in touch or need to call law enforcement, do you feel that you would easily be able to call law enforcement if another incident occurred?
Señor, ¿usted cree que si otro incidente ocurriera, usted tiene la seguridad que puede llamar a las autoridades para acudir en su auxilio?
Sí, señor.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, state has no position on bonds. State will request no hostile contact, and at this time, state will still request to maintain separate residences.
Your Honor, I would be requesting a PTR. She has, her only history is a public intoxication from 2018. He's not afraid, and he knows to call law enforcement, so there's going to be no hostile contact. And if the court wants to impose a no alcohol condition, that might be appropriate also.
She does qualify.
Here's the court's gonna do. The court's gonna find probable cause, set a bond at $500, no hostile contact, no alcohol at all, and do you two live together?
Yes.
Do you want him to return? Do you want her to return home?
Yeah. It's my,
¿Usted desea que ella regrese al hogar conyugal?
All right, I'll allow her to return home with, once again, the no alcohol order. That means none. That means zero, not a drop. Okay? All right. And no hostile contact, which means you can have contact, but no hostile contact. Any other issues on this case?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And let's move on to Hernan Velazquez Gonzalez.
oh, that's it?
Madam Clerk, if you would be so kind to give me Martinez Alvear's case number, thank you.
Yes, it's 2021 MM4418 AO.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please. Wait, we need to clean off the headsets and go ahead and provide the headsets. Mr. Gonzalez?
Madam Deputy, put the microphone in front of him, or else I can't hear him. That one that you're holding, not that one, the other one. Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Hernan Velazquez Gonzalez.
Hernan Velazquez Gonzalez.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent who's here on behalf of Mr. Gonzalez.
Joshua Sinclair.
Here for the state. Lydia Boudin. Here for a few different things. We've got a no valid DL for 2021 seat 1104. And also he was out on pretrial release for 2021 seat 322. 326. What says counsel for Mr. Gonzalez?
Your Honor, I'd ask the court to set a $500 bond on the new case and to take no action on the other two cases.
What says the state?
Your Honor, no position on bonds. State just requests that if he is released, no driving.
Court's gonna find probable cause, set bond at $500.
No volveré a conducir.
With a condition of no driving. I'm not going to take any action on 4322. Action on 4326. Anything else in regards to Mr. Gonzalez?
No, Your Honor.
We do have a Creole speaking case. Mr. Interpreter, are you also a Creole interpreter?
I wish, Your Honor, but my But at this moment, I do not understand. I do not know if we have a Creole interpreter scheduled for today. If you allow me 2 minutes, I will text my colleagues.
Perfect, yes, thank you. If we have it, we move forward this case. If not, we'll go back on the list. All right, let's try it now then. If we can get multiple interpreters with the language one, the one that goes in interpreter.
Your Honor, please excuse the delay. This is the interpreter speaking. I've just spoken to my colleagues. On the weekends, unless requested, there is no Creole interpreter. We will have to use language line.
Okay, we'll use the language line. All right, thank you.
Is that all done for the Spanish? And one last thing, Madam Clerk, Mr. Velazquez's case number?
Mr. Velazquez's case number? She's getting it. One moment, please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Velazquez?
It's 2021 CT 1104 AW.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Very kind of you. Thank you, Your Honor. If there's nothing more, and may I respect if there is any domestic violence victim in the audience that will need the Spanish interpreter.
Is there? Oh, I'm hearing that there's two.
Yes, ma'am. I could hang up.
Well, we're going to come back to you in about 5 minutes. Madam Clerk was able to get a hold of a Creole interpreter, so let's do that case real quick, and we'll call you right back, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be here waiting.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go ahead with the Creole case. Do we have Smith Charlotte? Smith Charlotte? We have the interpreter.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Thank you. And are you a Creole interpreter?
Welcome, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. And have you been previously sworn in today?
No, I just get into you, ma'am. No, nobody.
Okay.
Nothing was done.
All right, Madam Clerk, we'll go ahead and swear you in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to translate from Creole to English, English to Creole, truthfully in these matters here today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. It is Smith Charlotte that needs the Creole interpreter. So I'm going to go ahead and ask him to state his name for the record.
Yes, yes.
Can you interpret that?
Oh, ok, Charlotte qui besoin interprète là, qui besoin interprète là, moi pour l'introduire.
Did he say his name? I didn't hear it.
No, Your Honor.
Alors, vous capable de dire non?
My name? Smith Charlotte.
Capable.
I'm going to go ahead and
Smith Charlotte.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent Mr. Charlotte.
Moi pour public defender là, capable représenter Madame Charlotte.
Please state your name for the record.
Dis non ou pour record là.
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here on behalf of the state?
Vidya Boudin.
All right, we're here today on 3 counts: grand theft, second degree, $20,000 or more.
Moi là je dis pour 3 counts, yon un grand theft, vol, deuxième degré, $20,000 ou plus.
Scheme to defraud of $20,000 or more.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, can you repeat that, please?
Scheme to defraud of $20,000 or more.
Scheme pour capable faire fraude pour $20,000 ou bien plus.
And uttering a forged check.
L'autre forger chèque.
What says counsel for Mr. Charlotte?
Qui ça compte là pour Monsieur Charlotte?
Your Honor, Mr. Charlotte has no criminal history. He qualifies for PTR, so I would be requesting PTR in this case. If not, I'd ask the court to reduce bond to $5,000 on each count.
Your Honor, Monsieur Charlotte, pas jamais gain criminel code. So moi mandé pour PTR. Si que yo pas de PTR que moi mandé pour yo capable descendre tout pour frère, bande nan pour $5,000 pour chaque $5,000 chaque.
What says the state?
Ça state l'a dit.
Your Honor, state will request bond to remain as set by the warrant.
Your Honor, nous mandé pour bande arrêter même genre.
The court's going to find probable cause and keep the original bond, which is $10,000 for count 1, $10,000 for count 2, and $10,000 for count 3.
Ok, so d'après qui code Paul quitter les frère même bande même genre, $10,000 pour premier compte là, $10,000 pour deuxième compte là, $10,000 pour troisième compte là.
I'm also going to order no contact with the victims, no return to the scene.
Moi pour demander pour pas de contact qui pour faire avec victime là, ou pas supposé retourner là.
Are there any other issues in regards to this case?
No, Your Honor.
Est-ce que il y a l'autre issue à propos de ça?
I'm also going to order no weapons.
Et ma pour demander ou pas supposé bien zam.
All right, do we know who? All right, so I think we're done with the Creole interpreter. Thank you so much for appearing here today.
You're welcome, Your Honor. Is there anything else I can do for you?
Nope, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for using our service. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
You too, thank you. Do we know which 2 cases that we need Spanish interpreter for the victims? Do we have the names? Is there anybody else out there who needs the Spanish interpreter?
Yes, Your Honor, it's gonna be, Rodriguez Ernest and Rosario Joy.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Rodriguez Ernest,
Ernest Rodriguez.
and Ms. Rosario Joy.
Yeah. Wait, did you pull them from over here? Because I don't see them in here yet. Ernest Rodriguez, and I think Joy. We're going to call Ernest Rodriguez next, and then we're going to call Joy Rosario. We have the interpreter.
We don't need an interpreter.
Your Honor, Your Honor, for the record, Jose Sandro, certified Spanish interpreter, previously sworn, ready to proceed.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and call the next case, and it is the victim who needs the interpreter.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We're here for Ernest Rodriguez. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Ernest Rodriguez.
Estamos aquí en el siguiente caso, Ernesto Rodríguez.
No, I don't need an interpreter.
Oh, you don't
He
need
doesn't
an interpreter?
either. He doesn't either. We don't need interpreters, Your Honor.
Okay, I was informed that you were.
No.
So there must have been a miscommunication somewhere. Okay, we're going to go ahead and proceed with this case, but I'm being informed that no interpreter is necessary for this particular case. But we're going to call up the next case, which does require an interpreter. So hang up and call you right back, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you, Mr. Rodriguez. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Rodriguez?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
And who is the victim present today?
I am his brother. Do you want to hear the case?
Well, first, go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Mario Rodriguez.
Let's go ahead and get him sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
What did you want to tell the court?
Your Honor, we both take psychotic medicine, and it has anger issues. It produces anger issues. My brother, he was defending my stepmom. I was having an argument with her, and he don't like loud noises. And it all ended up that he hit me, and I thought he would get Baker acted, but that was not the case. I'm hoping he just goes home. I think he learned his lesson.
It was just a misunderstanding.
Counsel for Mr. Rodriguez, any questions?
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez, are you afraid of your brother?
No.
Do you want to have contact with him?
He's smart.
Do you want to continue to speak with him?
Yeah, I do.
Does he live with you?
Yeah, he's homeless.
He's homeless?
He's a homeless individual.
Okay, so if he couldn't live with you, he'd have nowhere to go?
He'd be back with strangers.
Okay. And that could potentially be dangerous for him?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And as far as, all you really wanted to do was the cops to take him to Baker Act him, is that?
I thought so, yeah. I thought that's what they do to me.
Okay.
But I'm on medicine, and so is he.
And clearly, if there's an incident between you and your brother, you know to call the police if it gets out of hand?
Yeah, I think next time I'm hoping that he answers that way.
What do you mean?
Calling the police on me.
Oh, it's just a misunderstanding.
Would be better.
Okay, but I guess what I'm trying to ask you is if you need to call the police, you will?
Yeah, I would. I'm not inhibited.
I have no further questions.
What says the state?
Your Honor, state understands victims' concerns. However, based on testimony that it seems like there is prior acts of or history of battery between the victim and the defendant does have some criminal history. State is going to request a bond. State is also requesting no contact and to maintain separate residences.
Your Honor, I would request no hostile contact. If the court orders him to maintain separate residences, Mr. Rodriguez will be living on the street, mentally ill, and he will be likely to be victimized or commit crimes against other people who do not know about his condition. Ideally, the police would deal with this by Baker Acting people. Obviously, we're not there yet. I'm asking that the court ROR him, no hostile contact.
Here's the court's going to do. The court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $100, no hostile contact. Any other issues in regards to this case?
No, Your Honor.
That means you can still have contact with him, just no hostile contact. He can still live with you.
Yeah, it's both of our faults, Your Honor.
You might want to talk up to the state attorney, not today, but you might want to call the state attorney's office in regards to this case, okay?
Okay, sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next up we have is Joy Rosario. All right, do we have the victim for Joy Rosario?
You want me to translate?
Someone's approaching, Your Honor.
You're good to go. Go downstairs.
Do you need the Spanish interpreter?
Sí.
Yes.
Sí.
Okay. Do you have the interpreter?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we have confirmed that it is the victim who needs the interpreter in this case.
La víctima en esta causa necesita el intérprete. Adelante.
All right, can Joy Rosario state your name for the record, please?
Joy Rosario?
La señora Rosario para que consten actas.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of Ms. Rosario?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here on behalf of the state?
Vidya Boudin.
And who do we have present with us here today? I need the victim to state his name for the record, and we need that interpreted.
Necesito que la víctima diga su nombre alto y claro para que consten actas.
Me llamo Guillermo Ferrer.
My name is Guillermo Ferren.
We're going to go ahead and get you sworn in, sir. Do you swear-
Señor, vamos a prestar juramento. Levanta la mano derecha.
Sí, señor.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
¿Usted jura decir la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad? ¿Lo jura ante Dios?
Sí, señor.
What would you
Yes,
like
I
to
do.
tell the court?
Abuela, dile que yo quiero que le tumbe los cargos a Rosario. Ella es una mujer buena, trabajadora. Fue un error que hubo ese día. Los guardias, las personas llamaron los guardias, vinieron. Yo le di cuenta que no quería cargo con ella. Como que se la llevaron. Los hijos ahora mismo de ella están pasando mucho dolor de cabeza. Por lo que ella pasó,
Ay,
que no es
Un
necesario.
momento, señor. Un momento, señor. I would like not to press charges against this woman. She is a woman who is in her right state of mind. She's a very hard worker. It was all an error, and I would like her to come back with us.
Do you two live together?
¿Ustedes dos conviven juntos?
Sí, vivimos juntos.
Yes, we live together.
Any questions from counsel for Ms. Rosario?
Are you afraid of her?
No, señor.
Señor, ¿usted la teme?
A ella no.
Her? No, not at all.
Okay, and if things got out of hand, would you call the police?
Y si las cosas volvieran a salirse de madre, ¿usted la llamaría a las autoridades, a la policía?
Sí, señor. No hay problema.
Yes, sir. I have no problems with her.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Any questions from the state?
Yes, Your Honor. Has any similar incidents occurred between you and the defendant before this incident?
Señor, ¿algún incidente similar ha ocurrido entre usted y la acusada anteriormente?
No. Nunca vinieron guardia, nunca pasado nada que ella cayó presa por No, por las situaciones que pasamos ese día en malentendimiento, no.
No. We have never had this incident before. The police have never been called on us before. That day, what occurred was just one big misunderstanding. That's all.
What says the state?
Your Honor, state has no position on bond. State would request no contact with the victim and to maintain separate residences.
Su señoría, la fiscalía no tiene ninguna postura sobre la fianza, solo quisieran que no hubiese contacto hostil y que mantuvieran residencias separadas mientras la causa esté pendiente.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $250, no hostile contact with anyone.
Este tribunal fija una fianza de $250 que no se tenga ningún tipo de contacto hostil.
¿Qué es eso? ¿Me puede explicar eso?
Can you explain that to me, please?
Okay, no hostile contact means you can have contact, but you can't have any hostile contact. So she's not allowed to push you, shove you, anything else of that nature.
Oh, como que ella no puede empujarme ni
Un
nada de eso.
momento. Contacto no hostil significa que puede tener contacto con usted, pero no puede haber ningún tipo de abuso verbal, ningún tipo de empujones, ningún tipo de peleas. Tiene que ser civilizado.
Está bien.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, do we know if any other victim needs an interpreter? Okay, I think we're gonna let the interpreter go then. Thank you so much.
Your Honor, one last thing. May I have that case number?
Case number is?
2021 MM4407AO.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Your Honor, to the staff.
Thank you. All right. I've got Eric Vispo Torres next. Is that who we have as well? Okay, do we have Eric Vispo Torres?
Yes.
Go ahead and state your name, please.
Eric Alexis Vispo Torres.
And I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Vispo Torres?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who do we have for the state?
Lydia Boudin?
Do we have any victim in regards to Eric Vispo Torres?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we're here today for a tampering with a witness and battery domestic violence. What's his counsel for Mr. Vispo Torres?
Your Honor, I would be asking the court to set bond at $1,000 on count one and $100 on count two. If the court does order separate residences, I'd ask for a one-time exception for him to return.
Says the state.
Your Honor, state has no position on bond. State would request no contact with the victim, maintain separate residences.
And he does qualify for PTR.
Court's going to find probable cause. Set bond at $1,000 on count one, $1,000 on count two, no contact with the victim, maintain separate resident, one-time exception to return to get your personal belongings.
Let me ask you something.
All right, next up should be Sabrina Alvarez. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Sabrina Alvarez.
I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Alvarez?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Lydia Boudin?
Do we have any victim here?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we're here today for a battery. It's a domestic violence charge. What says counsel for Ms. Alvarez?
Your Honor, Ms. Alvarez only has a public intoxication in her criminal history. She does qualify for PTR, so I'll be requesting PTR, and the court orders no contact and separate residences that she get the one-time exception.
What says the state?
Your Honor, state has no position on bond. State requests no contact with victim, maintain separate residences.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000, no contact with the victim, maintain separate residence. You want the one-time exception, counsel for Ms. Alvarez?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I'll go ahead and grant the one-time exception with police for personal belongings only. Next up, we have Daviana Batista. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please, ma'am.
Daviana Batista.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Batista?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Lydia Boudin?
Do you have any victims for this case?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we're here today for a battery. It's a domestic violence in nature. What says counsel for Ms. Batista?
Your Honor, Ms. Batista has no criminal history. She does qualify for PTR, so I'd be requesting PTR. If the court orders no contact and maintain separate residences, I would be requesting a one-time exception.
Says the state.
Your Honor, state has no position on bond. State requests no contact, maintain separate residences.
The court's going to find probable cause, issue a bond at $1,000, no contact, maintain separate residence, and I'll order the one-time exception with law enforcement for personal belongings. Next up, we have Ms. Byrd. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please, ma'am.
Shanice Byrd.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here on behalf of counsel for Ms. Byrd?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Lydia Boudin.
Do we have any victims in regards to this case?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we're here today for a battery. This stems from a dating violence. What says counsel for Ms. Byrd?
Your Honor, Ms. Byrd also has no criminal history. She does qualify for PTR. I would request that she be granted PTR. That is the least restrictive form of release. Given the fact she has no history, she's not a flight risk. She's been qualified for PTR. I'd ask for no hostile contact, but if the court does order no contact and maintain separate residences, I would request the one-time exception.
Does the state?
Your Honor, state would request a bond. State requests no contact, maintain separate residences.
Court's going to find probable cause, issue a bond at $1,000, no contact with the victim, maintain separate residence, and allow the one-time exception with law enforcement for personal belongings. Next up is Jacqueline Carr. Jacqueline Carr, go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jacqueline Carr.
Go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Carr?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Lydia Boudin.
Do we have any victims in regards to this case?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we're here today for a battery. This is a domestic violence in nature charge. What says counsel for Ms. Carr?
Your Honor, I'd be asking the court to set a $500 bond, and no, if the court orders no contact and separate residences, that should be given a one-time exception.
What says the state?
Your Honor, state has no position on bond, no contact, separate residences.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000, no contact, maintain separate residence. Return, I'll grant the exception for one-time return for personal belongings only. Next up, we have Ms. Ferrier. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Tiffany Ferrier.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Ferrier?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Lydia Boudin.
Do we have a victim in regards to this case?
Yes.
Chandria Ferrier.
All right, let's go ahead and get her sworn in.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're here today for an assault. It's a domestic violence in nature charge. What would the victim like to tell the court?
We here from North Carolina on vacation, and we was at the water park, and this basically is about food that I didn't pay for. It was just a misunderstanding. We were just here from out of town having fun, and a little alcohol was involved. We ain't never got in a fight before. We didn't even fight. So,
Has
she
there been any
just stumbled
history
over.
of that? Has there been any history between the two of you?
Never,
before?
never, ever.
Are you in fear?
No. Her son is in the car. We're supposed to be on our way back to North Carolina right now. So we're just here on vacation.
What says counsel for Ms. Ferrier?
I have a PC argument.
Go ahead.
The officer wrote it was an assault because Ms. Ferrier allegedly approached her as if she was going to fight. That's not how assault works. There was nothing about her being in fear whatsoever. She knows her way better than this cop. If the state of Florida, if officers are allowed to arrest people based on speculation that someone is going to fight, then every citizen in this state is at the mercy of a cop's subjective belief. There is no PC. There was no threat of imminent violence, which is required for assault. I'm going to ask that the court ROR on Ms. Ferrier. This charge has no merit.
What says the state?
Your Honor, the report states that the defendant went towards the victim in an aggressive manner with her hands up, yelling loudly as if she wanted to fight her, in the manner that the officer thought that it was in a manner that would have caused harm to the victim. State has no position on bond, just no contact with the victim, maintain separate residences.
Ma'am, were you ever in fear?
No,
Do you believe that she was coming after you to harm you?
no. We've been out at the water park all day long, having fun.
All right, the court's gonna find no probable cause, ROR.
Getting out of here.
Next up, we have Ms. Hilaire. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Maggie Hilaire.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Hilaire?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
Do we have a victim in regards to this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jonathan Chowder.
All right, let's go ahead and get him sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
We're here today for a battery. It's domestic violence in nature. What would you like to tell the court?
Well, My Honor, I think it's a big misunderstanding. My girlfriend did do a 13-hour shift. I enticed her with words. She stopped the car and exited the car, which I told her, I put on the hazardous sign and I told her to get back in the car. When did she get back in the car, she got in the back because she didn't want to drive anymore. I said some insulting words and what happened? She was in the back seat, I was in the front, in the passenger seat. I had my phone, I had her phone, she had my phone. I'm a long guy, so she was trying to get back her phone. I was trying to get back my phone. We had the windows up. When the Leos came, they couldn't see anything. So when they opened up the door, they had the guns pointed at me. And from that point, I explained what happened. She did not assault me. The only thing she did was pull my shirt, trying to get her phone back. And then, yeah.
Were you ever in fear?
I'm 6'7", no.
Counsel for Ms. Hilaire?
Yes, Your Honor. Sarah, sounds like you want to have contact with her?
Yes.
Do you two live together?
You said, do I want to have contact with her?
Yes.
Of course, she's my girlfriend.
And
Do you live together?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, I would be asking that the court ROR her in this case. Based on what we just heard, there is no probable cause. It sounds like police officers pulled guns on this gentleman and then needed to arrest someone to justify it. That's what it sounds like. So I'm going to ask the court to ROR her. It's pretty clear this case is not going anywhere.
What says the state?
Your Honor, the officers witnessed the battery occur, so state would request a bond. State will request no contact with the victim and maintain separate residences.
And she qualifies for PTR.
Court's going to find probable cause, set a bond at $100. No hostile contact, maintain separate residence. That means you can have contact, just no hostile contact.
Yes, ma'am.
You gotta live apart.
Yes, My Honor.
All right, any other issues?
No, Your Honor.
I have a question.
Yes.
When bond is posted, as far as, is it 2 hours to wait for her to be released?
Do you know how long it takes to?
It depends on the jail. It could be 4 or 5 hours. It depends.
It depends. I don't. How long do you think? 4 to 6 hours? I'm being told 4 to 6 hours.
4 to 6 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
So it should be today. Thank you. Do we have any more victims out there?
One more, Your Honor.
Do we have Patricia Crones? And are you in the Patricia Crones case?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Patricia Crones.
All right. All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Crones?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
And who else do we have present?
My name is Harold Sulk. I'm the boyfriend and the father of her unborn child.
Okay, and we're here today for a battery charge. It's domestic violence in nature. Let's go ahead and get the victim sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
What would you like to tell the court?
Well, we're here on vacation. We're also visiting her family. She just had family in Orlando. We were actually next door at the hotel, and we had a verbal dispute. She became a little loud, and the whole hotel is pretty cramped. So we had a verbal dispute, and this has never happened before. She threw a shoe across the room, not at me, but in the general area, but I had been moving around, and the shoe hit me. There was no malicious intent and bodily harm. She did not put her hands on me. And you guys are right next door to us, so cops immediately responded, and that's all that ever happened. This has never happened before.
Has there been any prior charges between the two of you before?
Absolutely not.
And are you in fear of her?
Absolutely not.
You two live together?
We do, in Illinois.
Do you have children in common?
Well, she's pregnant right now.
Counsel for defense?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm going to ask the court to ROR her on this case. He himself has just said that she had no intent to hit him with the shoe. That's what the police were told. If we want to get hyper technical, sorry, sir, I don't mean to throw you under the bus here, but him hugging her is technically a battery and arguably false imprisonment, given his stature. This case is ludicrous. The court should ROR her. She is obviously no danger to her if you look at the difference in sizes between them. I'm going to ask the court to ROR. And if the court does set a bond, to set a very low bond of $100 and no hostile contact.
What says the state?
Your Honor, it was not just the incident with the shoe. The report states that the defendant bit the victim. State would request a bond, no contact, maintain separate residences.
And Your Honor, if I may be heard,
The court's going to find probable cause to the bond at $100, no hostile contact. That means you can have contact, just not hostile contact, okay?
Okay.
You can live together still, it's fine. Any other issues on the case?
no, Your Honor, when you bond out. I'm sure he'll be
Next up, do we have Andrew Lewis? Go ahead and state your name, please.
Andrew Leonard Lewis Jr.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Lewis. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
All right, we're here today on a failure to appear for a petty theft with 2 prior convictions. What says counsel for Mr. Lewis?
Your Honor, given the nature of the charge, I'd ask the court to set a $1,000 bond.
Says the state.
Your Honor, no position on the bond.
All right, I'll find probable cause, set bond at $1,000.
Just make sure you make it court date.
No return to the scene. Next up, we have Kenneth Lyman.
He's in the hospital, Your Honor.
So go ahead and reset him for tomorrow. Kenneth Lyman is a reset for tomorrow. So we should have Autumn Manning. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Autumn Polly Manning.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Manning?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
All right, we're here for possession of cocaine, possession of heroin, possession of drug paraphernalia. What says counsel for Ms. Manning?
Your Honor, I would ask that the court set a low bond in this case. Those are simple possession cases, so I'd ask that the court release her on non-monetary release with the condition being that she possessed no drugs or alcohol.
Well, we also have another case with Ms. Manning. These are out-of-county warrants. And we also have another case, which is the introduction of contraband into a county detention facility. So, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, counsel for defense.
Your Honor, so as to the cases that are here, the introduction and the drug charges, I would be asking for non-monetary release or a small bond with the condition that she possessed no drugs or alcohol. As far as the out-of-county, well, I guess, Your Honor,
The out-of-counties are for VOPs.
yes, Your Honor. I actually didn't see an out-of-county warrant. What I saw was an officer arresting her from out-of-county, but I didn't actually see that there was any affidavit of violation of probation filed from the other county.
Do we have that?
It was an on-view violation of probation.
This is the one that I have. What we have is paperwork that she's on probation. Do you have any more information?
They did an on-view violation of probation, Your Honor. So it wasn't a warrant, it was an on-view.
Okay.
And Your Honor, if that's the case, I would object to her being violated. This is another county's probation. I do not believe it's appropriate for this county to violate her from another county. So I would ask that the court take no action as to that.
What says the state?
Your Honor, the officer writes in his report that he clearly found a baggie that tested positive for the presence of cocaine. As far as the VOP goes, he confirms that she was on probation in Polk County, case number K81562. State would request a bond in her other cases, no drugs if she's released.
What are you requesting in regards to the VOPs?
Your Honor, state would request that a bond be set on the VOP. Would leave it to the discretion of the court.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause in regards to 2021 CF 7563, which is the possession of cocaine, heroin, and drug paraphernalia. I'm going to set bond at $1,000 for count 1, $150 for count 2, and $100 for count 3. In regards to 2021 CF 7572, which is introduction of contraband to a detention facility, find probable cause, set bond at $1,000. And for the out-of-county warrants, I'm going to go ahead and set a bond at $1,000 for each charge. Also, I'm going to order a condition of no drugs in regards to the possession cases, which is the possession of cocaine, heroin, and drug paraphernalia. That's the 7563.
It's just one out of county.
All right, just one out-of-county?
Yeah, it's just one out of county on view violation of probation.
All right, I'll set bond at $1,000. Any other issues in regards to Ms. Manning?
No, no, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know. I saw 2 charges on my packet, so I just wanted to clarify that it was 1 charge. Just wanted to clarify because I had 2 charges on mine. Just wanted to clarify because I saw 2 charges in my packet. You said there was just 1?
For the out of county, yes. Just the one on view violation of probation
Maybe it
out
was
of county. And then the
twice.
2 Orange County cases is what I have. I can double check the system, but.
So what do you want us to put on the order? Because right now the order has 2 counts listed.
I don't.
So we'll just scratch it out?
Clerks, I only have the 118-11014 case for the VOP. I do see that it's a possession less than 10 grams and cocaine, and heroin, but I only have the 1 case in the system.
Yeah, 1,000 for the first one, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Do we have Laura Beth Moore present?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Laura Beth Moore.
And is this the case where we had the private attorney?
Yes, there was conflict.
And what was his name?
Mr. Leon.
Are you presented by Mr. Attorney Cheek?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Will you try to get a hold of Mr. Cheek?
That was the original conflict, so they go straight to
Oh, go straight to the voicemail?
the weekend.
Can the public defender's office appear as a friend of the court for Ms. Moore?
It's a conflict case, Your Honor, so I don't necessarily feel comfortable doing that.
Just try again one more time. We've already tried to contact the attorney, but he might not know that you're here today, and it's the weekend. Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan?
All right, what I'm going to do today is we're here today on a failure to appear for trafficking in 28 grams or more of fentanyl and failure to appear for trafficking in 28 grams or more of cocaine. I'm going to find probable cause and going to set a bond at $50,000 each. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to recall this case tomorrow, and that way you'll have an opportunity to have your attorney present with you, okay?
So I'll come back to first appearance tomorrow?
I'm sorry?
I'll come back here tomorrow?
Come back here tomorrow. I'm resetting it also for tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
$50,000 each charge.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Tony Owens. You don't have Tony Owens?
You have a booking number for them, Your
Got a
Honor?
no valid DL and a possession of cannabis under 20 grams.
An inmate number?
It is 210, 150, 99.
210-150-99?
Yes.
That's for the last defendant or more.
Yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't mean it's correct. You do have a bond.
210, 151, 47.
They bonded.
Okay, in regards to both cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
They've already been released.
Is this Jonathan Patrick?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Jonathan Patrick.
Go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Patrick?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
All right, we're here for failure to appear on a tampering with physical evidence and a resisting officer without violence. What's his counsel for Mr. Patrick?
Your Honor, we'd ask that the bond just remain as set in the warrant.
I'm sorry, say again?
That the bond just remain as set in the warrant.
What says the state?
State requests the same, Your Honor.
Okay, court's gonna find probable cause and keep the bond at $2,000 for count one, $500 for count two. Okay?
I'm not going to be able to bond out. I thought these charges were dropped.
I'll let your,
And, Your
I'll let
Honor,
attorney know.
Yes,
it was bond and PTR. Do you want to keep it as bond and PTR?
just bond.
Okay, so
Bond.
scratch the PTR.
I was on PTR.
I'm just gonna set it at $2,000 for count one, $500 for count two, no PTR, just the bond.
So now I don't have to wait for them to talk.
No, we're good.
Do we have Sierra Patton? Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Sierra Patton.
I'm gonna go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Patton? Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
All right, we're here today for a battery and law enforcement officer. What's his counsel for Ms. Patton?
Your Honor, Ms. Patton has absolutely no criminal history. She was actually not arrested with any sort of criminal conduct outside of the battery and law enforcement officer. They then chalked up a disorderly conduct. Obviously, I can't look at the body cam, but I suspect that the officer's version of events is not quite as honest as they would like it to be. Given her absolute no criminal history and the nature of this charge, I'd be asked, and she qualifies for PTR, so I'd be asked that she be released on PTR.
All right, we're here for a battery on Leo and also disorderly conduct. What says the state?
Your Honor, state would request a bond on both cases.
Court's gonna find probable cause, set bond for the battery on Leo at 1,000, set bond at disorderly conduct at 500. Any other issues on this case?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Next up, do we have Quincy Phelps?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Quincy Phillips.
Phillips, yes. Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for defense?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Vidya Budan.
We're here for two cases, a burglary of an unoccupied dwelling and an ag assault with a dating violence component, battery with a dating violence component, and petty theft. What says counsel for Mr. Phillips?
Potentially. Your Honor, I would ask that Mr. Phillips be given bond in the amount of $5,000 on count one and $100 on the remaining counts, no contact and no return.
What says the state?
Your Honor, I do see that he does have some history of BAT DV, same victim. State will request that bond remain as set in the warrant and in the burglary case as well.
All right, the court's going to find probable cause. I'm going to keep the bond at $5,000 on the burglary of unoccupied dwelling, set the bond for ag assault at $5,000, set the bond for battery at $1,000, and set the bond at petty theft for $1,000, no contact with the victim. Any other issues on this case?
No, Your Honor.
Next up is Brianna Polk. Yes, both cases, the burglary and the battery. We have Brianna Polk.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Brianna Polk.
I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Ms. Polk?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Biddy Boudin.
All right, we're here today for a burglary of a conveyance with assault or battery therein. What says counsel for Ms. Polk?
Your Honor, I'd ask that the court set bond in the amount of $5,000. Ms. Polk is employed full-time, and as far as the case goes, there is probable cause, but it doesn't appear that she's a violent person. Obviously, the situation shouldn't have happened, but it appears it was more about drugs and alcohol and potentially drugs, so I'd ask that the court impose a condition of no drugs or alcohol along with the bond.
What says the state?
Your Honor, state will request that bond remain as set.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $7,500, no contact with the victim, no drugs or alcohol. We have James Washington.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
James Washington.
All right. I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Washington?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Biddy Boudin.
All right, we're here today for possession of cocaine. What says counsel for defense?
Your Honor, given the nature of this charge, it's a non-violent offense based solely around drug addiction. I mean, I know Mr. Washington has a lengthy criminal history, but as far as this case goes, it's just cocaine. Again, victimless crime, non-violent offense. He is abjectly indigent. I'm asking the court to grant him non-monetary release with whatever conditions the court believes are appropriate.
What says the state?
Your Honor, based on the defendant's history, state will request bond remain as set.
Court's going to find probable cause, keep bond at $1,000. Next up, we've got Dwight Williams. Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Dwight Williams, ma'am.
All right. I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Williams?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Biddy Boudin.
All right, we're here for a few things. For 7567, we've got possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and then possession of ammunition by a convicted felon. For 2021 CF 220, we've got ag assault and then also battery. And then he was also out on pretrial release for 2018 CF 1254.
Your Honor, I did look at that case number and it came up with a different defendant. I just want to make sure that that is the correct case number.
Madam Clerk, can you verify the case number?
Osceola
Oh,
case.
that's my
It
mistake.
says Orange County at the top, but it should say Osceola County at the top. Well, actually, it says Osceola County to the side.
Okay, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I was looking at Orange County.
Not a problem.
I was
All right, what says counsel for Mr. Williams?
Your Honor, I would, the case law is pretty clear that when it comes to possession of firearm by a convicted felon and possession of ammunition by a convicted felon, you can do one or the other, but not both. So I would ask the court to ROR him on count 3, then as to the remaining counts at $5,000 on count 1 and $150 on the remaining counts.
What says the state?
Your Honor, based on the defendant's criminal history, state would request higher bond amount on all counts and bond to remain as set in the warrant case.
Right, the court's going to find probable cause in regards to possession of firearm by convicted felon. I'm going to keep the bond at $5,000. Possession of firearm by convicted felon, I'm going to keep the bond at $150. possession of ammunition by a convicted felon, keep the bond at $150. In regards to 2021 CF 2200, set the bond at $5,000 for the ag assault and set the bond battery at $1,000. No contact with the victims. I'm not going to take any action on the Osceola County case 2018 CF 1254. Yes, it's going to be.
On the warrant, they have no weapons.
Yes, I'm going to add no weapons in regards to the ag assault. Next up should be Rodnicia Belleville. Are you Mr. Belleville?
No, ma'am.
Who is this?
This is Tyler Calvert.
Talbot?
Calvert, C-A.
Do you have a booking number for the other individual?
That name's not ringing a bell.
It's like two down. The inmate number for the first one is 210-151-45.
They bonded out.
And then what about 210-151-46?
They bonded out as well.
Was that Beville and Hazley?
I think that's Belleville and Angeles, is that correct?
Yeah.
You'd have to give me the name again, the number again.
Mercado, Angeles, and Rodnicia Belleville, both bonded.
And do we still have Pedro Angeles, or no? Okay, so now we're on Tyler Calvert?
Yes.
So Calvert, I'm sorry, I heard Talbot, that's why it wasn't ringing the bell. Okay, so now we're good to go. All right, Tyler Calvert, go ahead and state your name for the record.
Tyler Calvert.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Calvert?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Lydia Boudin.
All right, we're here today for a battery. What says counsel for Mr. Calvert?
Your
I
Honor.
don't see any victim here as well.
Mr. Calvert, this is a simple misdemeanor battery. It appears, based on the police report, that what he was trying to do is get his roommate drug help. Granted, that's not the best way to do it, but his roommate was not hurt in any way, shape, or form. The allegation is at worst, he put his hand around his neck, but he didn't say that he was choking him. Mr. Calvert told the officers that he, I guess, grabbed his cheeks to emphasize that he needed help with drugs. Mr. Calvert does have some criminal history, but all of it is drug-related. There's nothing remotely similar to this case. He was working at 7-Eleven at the time. I would ask that the court place him on PTR. He does qualify. No drugs or alcohol, and order that he do random urinalysis.
What says the state?
Your Honor, it does seem that drugs was involved. State would request bond to remain as set, no contact with the victim, maintain separate residences.
Court's going to find probable cause, keep bond at $500, no contact with the victim, no drugs or alcohol, maintain separate residence.
Your Honor, that's for a one-time exception, so he could.
Yes, and the one-time exception to go get your personal belongings.
I shouldn't give that to you. Go back to your house. We gotta call the cops first.
Next up, we should have Angelique Hazley, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and reschedule her for tomorrow then. Next up, we should have Jonathan Passmore, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Jonathan Passmore.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Who's here as counsel for Mr. Passmore?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Lydia Boudin.
All right, we're here today for a petty theft for a merchant's second offense. What says counsel for Mr. Passmore?
Your Honor, the allegations is that Mr. Passmore took $43.67 worth of shirts and underwear. I understand it's still a theft, but those are necessities. I would ask that the court ROR him on this case.
Does the state?
Your Honor, it appears that he does have previous theft convictions. State will request bond to remain as set and no return to Family Dollar.
Court's going to find probable cause, keep bond at $500, no return to the scene.
You have a $500 bond.
Do we have Justin Sulk?
Bonded, Your Honor.
Bonded? We have Sean Smith.
Behavior, Your Honor.
Behavior, we'll reset him for tomorrow. Do we have Steve Hadden? All right, so we'll reset him to tomorrow. We have Andrew Ware.
Right here.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Andrew Ware.
I find that you do not qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office. Can the Public Defender's Office act as a friend of the court here today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who's here as counsel for Mr. Ware?
Joshua Sinclair.
Who's here for the state?
Lydia Boudin.
We're here today for grand theft, third degree of a motor vehicle. What says counsel for Mr. Ware?
Your Honor, I'd ask that the court set bond at $1,000.
What says the state?
Your Honor, I don't have any information on Mr. Ware's case, but if there is a bond, state will request the bond to remain, no contact with the victim.
Court's going to find probable cause, set bond at $1,000, no contact with victim.
I don't even know. I thought it was an accident. The police ran into us. It was an accident. Oh, I already know about the bomb.
Yeah.
Do we have Richard Sulimaj? Richard Sulimaj?
You have a booking number for them?
Richard Sulimaj.
Booking number?
No, without